What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm here today to talk about one of the best stories that we have in the NBA over the past year. And it is about none other than Detroit basketball. Because the Detroit Pistons are back. They are back. And the NBA is just better when the historic franchises that, had glory days of winning championships. The NBA is always better when those franchises are doing good, such as the Pistons, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Celtics, the 76ers, the Golden State Warriors, and so on and so forth. There's there's plenty others, but those are the main ones I can think of. But I want to talk about today how the Detroit Pistons went from the worst team in the league last year to being a solidified playoff team. Because I can't remember. I was trying to think. I don't ever think I've seen something like this before, where the team that was the worst team in the league the season prior, especially as bad as the Pistons were and how much of a meme it was last season, I've never seen a team like that go to being a solidified playoff team, because they are a solidified playoff team. They're not even in play-in tournament standings. Like, they are a solidified 6th seed right now. They are sitting at 37-30 after they lost to my Washington Wizards tonight. Shout out DC. Love my guys. Love the Wizards. Great team win. But nonetheless, the Detroit Pistons are at 37-30. Win percentage of 55.2%, and they hold a 4.5 game lead over the 7-seeded Atlanta Hawks. Excuse me. So last year, they finished the season 14-68, and they went from October 30th to December 30th, 2023, without winning a game. Well, they won a game on December 30th, but they went 2 full months without winning a game. Tied for the longest losing streak in NBA history at 28 straight losses. Like, no one saw this coming for the Detroit Pistons. And I remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a little faith in Detroit. Maybe they'll be a play-in team, right? Maybe they'll compete for that 9-10 spot, right? I did not see this coming. And so let's talk about some of the reasons why this happened, right? Let's go back to the offseason. Right. So obviously Troy Weaver got fired. He was the former, exec in charge there. I believe he was the president of basketball operations. They bring in Trajan Langdon, who is now the current president of basketball ops. Trajan Langdon was formerly with the Pelicans for a little bit. And he has just done wonders. And I think a lot of the moves that he made originally, people were kind of questioning. They're like, okay, is this really going to work? But I think, number one, hiring JB Bickerstaff was clearly, a good move. The Cavs were a good team last year, and I think JB Bickerstaff played a big role in that. Obviously, Kenny Atkinson has taken them to a new level, and sometimes you just need a new voice, right? And I think that's what happened here. Is like Monty Williams was not working out with the Pistons, clearly. So bring in JB Bickerstaff. He's a proven coach. He's a good coach. And let's see what happens, right? And it's worked out for him. But in addition to that, they also brought in some key players, right? They signed Tobias Harris in the offseason to a 2-year, $52 million deal. A lot of people were up in arms about that because Tobias Harris was getting flamed on social media for being horrible for the Sixers in the playoffs and what have you, and, being non-existent, this, that, whatever, right? And he's really, revitalized himself in a Pistons uniform. Obviously, he used to be in Detroit, earlier on in his career. And he's just, he's been a really big addition to this team. He's started every game he's played so far. All 62 that he's played in, he's started every single one. 13.9 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, 0.9 steals, 0.8 blocks. He's dedicated himself to the defensive end this season, something that we haven't really seen a ton of in recent years from Tobias Harris. And it's been great. That's been a great addition. Obviously, the other key addition was signing Malik Beasley to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Unfortunately, he's probably going to command a lot more money on the market this coming offseason. But he's been incredible for the Pistons. I would say he's been a more valuable signing than Tobias Harris. Malik Beasley is third in the league for three-pointers made a game at 3.9 made per game, so roughly 12 points off of threes every single game for Malik Beasley. And he's just going off. He's the team's third leading scorer, 16.5 points per game, right behind Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. And I don't even know what to say, man. I'm just so appalled and so impressed with how this team has performed. Malik Beasley shooting 42% from three-point range on 9.3 attempts per game. And he's only started 14 games so far this season. I could see him being, a strong candidate for Sixth Man of the Year, honestly. So, and on top of all those moves, right, they brought in Tim Hardaway Jr. in the offseason via trade. He got traded to the Pistons in July from Dallas. Obviously, he did not get played a lot in the finals, against the Celtics when he was with the Mavericks. And, they wind up swapping Quentin Grimes, who, if you guys know, I love Quentin Grimes. I think he's a great player. He's really coming into his own right now for the Sixers. But they got Tim Hardaway Jr. and 3 second-round picks in exchange for Grimes. So that's a good pickup for them, I think. Tim Hardaway's definitely contributed a lot. They also acquired Dennis Schroeder this season, Lindy Waters, and a future second-round pick from the Warriors. That was during the trade deadline time this season. So they've just been able to establish this veteran leadership, which I think for this team was so crucial. You could see just the, feeling of being lost last year, amidst their losing streak. I remember watching the press conferences with Monty Williams and Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, and it was just I don't even know if these dudes want to get on the court again because they feel so bad that they can't win a game. And that's gotta hurt. I was watching, so the Wizards, like I mentioned, they just played the Pistons, 2 games in a row in Detroit, right? So they played on Tuesday against Detroit, they lost. Played again tonight, Thursday night against Detroit, and they won. But Drew Gooden, who's, the commentator for the Wizards, he was talking about how, Cade Cunningham was, I guess, talking to the media or something, and he was saying that, last season he would get home from games and would just be depressed and would just be up until 5, 6 in the morning just thinking. And Drew Gooden said, he's like, well, if you're the number 1 pick, you better be feeling like that because you need to be a competitor. And this season, we've really seen that competitive nature that Cade Cunningham has. He is not taking no for an answer, and he's doing what he has to do. He obviously was named to his first All-Star team this season, very well deserved in my opinion. And I'm a big fan of Cade Cunningham. I really, really just like seeing how much he's improved over the last year is incredible. I mean, I don't think he's going to win Most Improved, but certainly I think he should get some looks for it. He doesn't really fit the criteria for the award. They try to give it to guys who go from being, basically players that aren't even playing that much to being starters and really improved, up their stats a lot. And Cade has upped his stats a lot. Went from 22 points a game last season to nearly 26 this season. He's third in the league in assists at 9.3 a game. It's just, again, I'm just going to keep saying it because I'm just so amazed. I thought, maybe this was going to be a fluke and the Pistons were going to fall back down and finish, kind of where I mentioned, originally, maybe they'll finish in the play-in and something like that. But they have not backed down. They have kept pushing. They won on an 8-game win streak at one point in the season, which I don't think has happened since 2008. Just I can't give these guys enough props. Because a lot of the free agent signings, like I mentioned in the trades, a lot of people would have been like, oh, that's not going to do anything for them. These guys are getting traded or they're getting signed to Detroit because they're not serious, yada, yada, whatever. And they're just proving everybody wrong, right? And I can only hope, being a Wizards fan, I can only hope this is how my team reacts, going into next season, right? We have a bunch of young guys on the team right now in DC. They need to learn from this type of team and be like, you know what, just because everyone's writing us off right now and making fun of us and, saying that we're the laughing stock of the league, let's prove them all wrong. Let's work hard all summer. Let's, work out together. Let's build camaraderie. Let's build this chemistry. And let's come back and let's win some games, right? So it's been an amazing season, right? And not to mention Jalen Duren has improved as well. He's a double-double machine. Dude is just a brick. in the paint. And I don't mean that like, like he's missing shots. Like, I mean, like, he is just immovable. You cannot move this man. It reminds me a lot of Andre Drummond from early on in his, NBA career playing for the Pistons. Jalen Duren's got a little bit more of an offensive game, though, a little bit. Andre Drummond missed a ton of layups. And I like Dennis Schroeder a lot. I like Asar Thompson. I haven't even brought up Asar Thompson yet. I think he's, not as good as Amen is right now, but I think that's based on the situation. And I think Asar Thompson is going to be amazing for them going forward. Additionally, Ron Holland II, like, he was projected to be the number 1 pick in the draft, start of last season, right? And he kind of slipped down, and then, Zachary Reese-Shea and Alex Sarr and Reed Shepherd all kind of popped up into the mix. But a lot of people were saying, at the start of last season that Ron Holland was going to be the number 1 pick. So I think they got great value there. He's obviously not shown a ton yet, but he's good. And I think he's going to be a decent player in this league for sure. Super athletic. And Isaiah Stewart, being the enforcer of that team, I think he's got to get his emotions in check a little bit on the court sometimes, but at the end of the day, who doesn't want to play with a teammate like that who's willing to, go to war for you, right? So I love the camaraderie of this team. I love what they've done. I really think this is like a huge step for them. I think it's a huge step for Cade Cunningham in his career. I think it's a huge step for Jaden Ivey in his career, Malik Beasley as well. Like, I think all of these guys are proving a point about how they play, who they are, and that they can win in this league. And that was something they really needed after last season. So I'm super impressed. Those are just some of the reasons I think that they've gone from, the worst team in the league to a solidified playoff team. With 15 games left in the season, I don't see them slipping down, beyond the 6th seed. And right now, if the season ended today, they'd play the Knicks first round. And I'm not going to lie to you, like, that series could go 6 or 7 games. And I could see the Pistons winning, to be completely honest, right? And I think the Knicks are a great team, obviously. Would be a huge disappointment if they went out in the first round. But, I think the Pistons have nothing to lose. You go from being the worst team in the league to being the 6th seed. Like, I'm just saying, man, this is something that I think if you're a real basketball fan, you definitely appreciate, and you just got to understand how much work goes into this type of a turnaround. It's really incredible, and I'm really proud of this team and what they're doing. So it should be a message to all the other, struggling teams in the league, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Jazz, all those teams should learn from this and, push forward. And, if the Pistons can do it, you can do it too. So that's all I got, guys. Let me know what you think about the Pistons down below. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the season? What do you think about Cade Cunningham, Malik Beasley, that whole crew over in Detroit? I want to know. So leave some comments, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later, man. Stay safe, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.